All right, everybody, welcome to the Mastermind. Today is April 9th, even though on my calendar I have it scratched off all the way to the 14th because I got scratch happy. So I'm ahead a week of you guys. But we're talking marketing. You know, Tony Harris was on Monday, and she's big in networking and marketing and everything like that. Sandy had the pleasure of tuning in with you guys. So Sandy's going to kind of run this mastermind. I'm going to sit here and learn with you guys. So Sandy, take it away.
Well, what I want to learn from you. And Julie, I just read your comment. So Julie had a 30-minute session with Tony, and I agree with you, Julie, that she needs to tailor her talk more towards authors.
Yeah.
I didn't ask her to change anything. I had not heard this presentation. I knew kind of what it was about, but I agree that it could have been more for authors. And she is an author, and so she definitely understands that. And she's used a ghostwriter before. She definitely worked with editors. She's done her own publishing, and she's been with a publisher. The event that she speaks at every year is when I was talking on Monday is one where I was the only white person there. And it's with a guy. Oh, and I had his name. Just as I was getting ready to say it. It went away. But I would like for James. I'd like for you to know about it for sure, because just naturally, you'd be a good fit there. You'd be the same as everybody else there. You wouldn't be like me, the only one that's different. But I had a great time, and I went from booth to booth to booth, and I met a lot of people, and some of them I'm still friends with today. Anyway, I'll remember his name later. So what I did learn from Tony was hearing her go there and do her presentation, and seeing the results of that. So what I want you to see, and I want you to get, and I'm going to keep emphasizing it until you do get it, is I'm not going to say you'll never get rich from selling books. I'm not going to say that, because we all know that there are some authors that have gotten rich from just selling books. So that will always be your number one. But in the meantime, if you can take your entrepreneurship and you can create other products or services, a lot of them will be services that you can sell. Like Vincent was on the other night, and he has a coaching company. So he does coaching, and his coaching is 17. What's the name of it, Amy? Is it 17 days or 17?
It's 17 and beyond, because he served 17 years in prison. And so when he got released, he made it 17 and beyond.
Got it. I knew that had something to do with him getting out of prison. So he's got a great story. Vincent, he was in prison for 17 years then. I didn't know for sure exactly. He was in for armed robbery. He was arrested on his fourth time on armed robbery, was sent to prison for those years. And while he was there, so he's got a great story. I won't tell you the whole story. While he was there, he converted to Islam. And then when he got out, moved from being Muslim to being Christian. And so he's got a great story, and he does coaching, life coaching with people. So I do suggest you get his book, but get it when we're going to do the launch, because we're going to be doing the launch when, Amy?
I'm sorry.
And Amy's muted, so.
We're doing it July 4th weekend. Sorry, I didn't know I was muted, to celebrate like freedom and stuff. So we're correlating it with that.
So really, his book, we can't do the launch right now, because a lot of times when you do it yourself, when you do everything yourself, and he did everything himself. He got somebody to help him with putting it together, but he did put it on Amazon. So congratulations to him for doing all that all by himself. However, he made it free for 5 days immediately, and without a launch or anything. And so with Amazon, you could only do that once every 90 days. So he wanted us to do that, and his book, can't do it. So I told Amy and I had a conversation, and either he has to wait or we can do the 99 cents. So he decided to wait and do it. So anyway, that's coming. But he does have a coaching business that's where he makes money. So I want to hear from you. I'm going to save Julie because I've got some suggestions for her, but I want to hear hers. I'm going to start with Athena. We know, Athena, you do the editing. So I want to, what other things what do you like doing that you could do in addition to what you're already doing? And I know you're all busy, you all got all your time booked up, but in order to make money, to be a business, what other services could you offer, Athena? And you don't look muted, but James is muted, and so if you're using his microphone, then you're muted.
Yes, okay, there it goes. Um, well, my interests are pretty divergent from writing and editing. So I do furniture restorations.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so I do make money like that as well. So people bring me things and I break them apart, put them together, restore them, paint them, whatever. So I do have that. And I've got a second Facebook page where I've got my writer's Facebook page and I've got my other Facebook page where I do all my it's my hobby really, and that's where I've got a completely different group of friends. I follow groups, I take classes with them as well and things like that, so I'm divergent in.
Now, do you write about that? Do you write about your furniture?
I have thought about it. I have thought about writing a book because I studied interior design.
But not a book. What about a blog or something?
Oh, a blog or something like that. Yeah, I guess I could do something like that once a week, once a month, whatever. But I have thought about actually writing a book about painting techniques and things like that, because I see a lot of people on my other Facebook page who are always looking and asking, how did you get that finish? How did you do that? You know, how is that possible? You know, all those kind of things. And I do know a lot of, because I test things all the time. I play with things. And so I do know a lot about different finishes. And I thought maybe doing a book about that would be interesting, you know, and helpful.
What is the name of your other? What is the name of your other page?
It's under my real name.
Okay.
Yes, my real name is Angelique Papadakis.
Yes, I would never have found you.
Okay.
So yes, Athena is not my real.
I was like sitting here thinking,
name.
I'm like, what? I thought your name was Athena. I feel like so duped right now. I'm like, man, I thought the name was Athena.
Athena is my writer's name. And I chose specifically to have a different name so I can have two personas. Me, you know, I'm Angelique and I do that stuff. And then Athena is the writer and I have nothing personal on my writer's Facebook page.
And what is Angelique's last name?
Papadakis, P-A-P-A.
Yeah, I found it. Okay.
Yes. So if you go on that, you'll see all kinds of beautiful stuff on there. The pages I follow, you know, the things I do, and which I have not been doing a lot on there lately. And sometimes I forget to take pictures of the stuff I've done because I do a lot of custom and I don't always take pictures and put it there of things that I've done for other people. So you don't always see everything there because people know what I do. So they bring me their pieces and then I work on that, get paid, they take them back. And so that's how it works. But that's back in South Africa, of course, not here. So
you don't do any
James has
furniture.
nothing for me to paint. I tell him, can we go to Goodwill? I want to go to the Salvation Army. I want to go buy stuff, you know, to paint.
My garage is loaded with crap already.
Yeah, but
So
nothing that I can paint.
Yeah, so I have no place for her to paint anything in that garage. I just want to see everything tossed out.
Yeah.
I wish I had Athena.
Since she did get kind of trapped in this country, it would be nice if she could keep doing what she loves to do. I hear you, and I could just think of all kind of things you could do with that is because the writing, the video, you could do videos, but you
Oh,
then
lives and things like that of actually doing techniques and all kinds of things. Yes, yes, I follow a lot of that. I actually know sometimes what I learned there, I actually bring it over and I try to, transfer it onto how would a writer do what we do on the other side, So, because it's two creative things. The one is very visual and the other one is more, uh, intellectual.
well, they both come from you, so that I think that's awesome. So I would definitely pursue something like that, and maybe start with something small until while you're still here, because if James won't let you get anything big or anything, because I would love to see you write about that.
Yeah.
And take pictures of it. I can see where that kind of blog.
Mhm.
I mean, if for people that are interested, yes, a blog about that, videos about that, I can see where definitely you could have a whole different line of products like
Yeah.
that. So I think that's awesome. Congratulations, that's great. I never dreamed that's what we were going to hear from you. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. So James, I know you have a lot going on because you work full time and you do the publishing and you do the writing, and so um, and you do the speaking. So more speaking for you would definitely be where I would recommend you go. But that's not an immediate way of making money. We all know that. To start with, you have to speak for free. And Tony was like, she prefers to speaking for free because she's got her coaching that she sells on the side. So speaking for free, then you can sell your services. So what are your thoughts?
Well, when I looked at what you were talking about, it was like, okay, I can see how that works for nonfiction books and people who do, like you say, coaching and stuff like that. I didn't really see how that would work for fiction writers so much, or for fiction publishers. Like I told her, I have no problem getting people to send me work and they want me to publish their books, Yeah. But as for myself, I was thinking, I had thought about this before, of teaching writing and things like that. So as a speaking, you can speak upon, how you find writers, how you, publish them, this kind of thing, how you write your own books. But I also think that to teach writing, you kind of like have to have a couple of well-selling books. You don't have to be a best-selling author, but when people ask you, so how many books did you sell? You can't say a handful. You don't, that doesn't give you any credit because you write books.
You can't use that as a reason to not do it either.
No, you can't use that as a reason for not doing it, but it's sort of like you gotta have some credibility, like she was saying. So where do your credibility come from? Either you have to have written a lot more books, and so far I only got 4 books published, or you have to have some books that are very well sold, that your name is really out there. So I'm thinking,
as well, James.
what's that?
Book awards as well will help you.
Yeah, to win a couple of awards or something like that would also help you, because it makes your name known. You have to be known as an expert somehow, So either you wrote a lot of books, you got awards for writing books, or you sold a lot of books, and then you could teach other people how to write, because they're saying, well, I've been writing for years, don't mean you're good at it.
No, but you know what? With
it.
everybody that's starting, if your classes were geared towards
New writers,
new writers, yeah, you could definitely teach them how you got started, how you became a publisher, all of that. So I would definitely suggest you work on something. I mean, in your spare time, because I know you have a full-time job as well. But because like she said, with your business model, which I do, she doesn't understand the different business models as far as publishing. And I do think that people are still looking for traditional publishers, but Texas Sisters is a hybrid. And so hybrid means you share everything. You share the beginning, which is the cost, of publishing, and then you share the rewards at the end, which is the book sales. So, you might want to, I mean, I know you're a traditional publisher, you've done that for all your clients, but I would just look at some other possible ways that you make money in the publishing world, and selling courses, because that way you can record them and then have them available, which Amy and I are getting ready to do ourselves. So that would mean it's ongoing available, and once it's recorded, as long as nothing changes about it in the industry, then you can continue to do that, to sell that, and to sell those courses. So,
Well, even if
yeah.
it does change though, you can always update it and call it, an updated version or whatever. And then all you really have to do is just input the updated changes that you have. Because not all of it's going to change, right? There's only going to be certain aspects that change. So
Yeah,
then that's kind of where you can be like, here's the updated version of just the list of things that have changed, right? And so, I mean, you could always just give them a list with that from the course and update it as that. So,
yeah, well, that's something that will have to, I thought about that for years already, about
See,
actually
if you've
going
been
in
thinking,
and doing
when
adult education, you
yeah.
know?
when
And
I just think when you keep thinking about something over and over again, and that there's a message in there somewhere that you're supposed to do something with that.
yeah,
That's you'll have to just take the first step, and then the rest of it will kind of appear, I think.
well, sort of like what the podcast has become, it's like, okay, I was thinking about doing those, and you have to find the time and actually pull the trigger, as they say, on doing
Yep.
things.
You
So,
do. You do.
but I'm not the type of person that rushes into anything. So I plot things out for sometime years, probably too long, but I plot things out before I say, okay, I'm not the type of person that jumps into doing anything. So I have to know exactly where I'm going with it, because I really want a finished product to be out there when I launch it. It's the same thing when
Right.
I write books. It takes me years to write a book because I have to plot it, I have to see it, I have to see the whole story before I write the first word.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is that we could do that. We could do your course on Zoom,
Right?
and with the Zoom, they have whiteboard capabilities, so you could actually write some on the whiteboard, or have a presentation, a PowerPoint or something. So just keep thinking about that and talking to Amy about it, and when you're ready to do something, of course, we'll be here to help you.
Yeah.
James,
Now
but
I done courses like that when I was working for like Jackson Hewitt and stuff like that. I was one of the people who wrote ourselves out of a job. We were the help desk people. And when we were doing this program, when it got taken over by another company and everything, we were doing this program. I had to tell everybody in the company, in the organization, we are writing ourselves out of a job. That's why we're doing this. And they were like, no, no, no. I said, yes, yes, yes. We're writing the program that's going to replace us, and they didn't see it coming, but I knew it was coming because I understood the programming and everything else that we were working on. I was like, this is so that the people on the help desk could pick up a phone, type in a few words, the information comes up on the screen, and they relay it back to the person. That's what we do as a help desk. So what we're doing is making it easier for other people just to do it. They don't need us. And so I have taught courses before and things like that. So like, you go to it, we have an adult learning center here. And I might try to get in with the HRW people, Hampton Roads writers, things like that. So I am thinking about it. The plot has been steadily being pushed up the hill.
Good. And remember, right now, with everything being virtual, which the chances are a lot of stuff is going to be virtual forever, because people are finding that it's easy with Zoom, it's convenient. And we're having our Writers Guild, Houston Writers Guild conference in June, and we can bring in people from wherever because it's virtual. So look at that, look at virtual things, and you've done a great job as far as the publishing company and having a booth and everything at the Miami Book Fair and all that. Now, start looking at where could you teach your course,
Well,
and
why don't
what
you
would be a
should
good one.
You could reach out to Authorology though, because they offer a course once a month. And I mean, I know that they're always looking for people to teach courses and stuff like that. So I mean, you could reach out to them if you want to just kind of dabble in it. But I mean, for speaking and stuff, you can speak on panels on publishing, on sci-fi, on just writing a book. I mean, there's a ton of different panels you can get on to speak.
Yeah, I try to get on all these panels when I do these conferences too. When
Yeah.
I go to these places, I put my name in for all the panels or all the ones that really apply to me.
The thing of it is, all of that is wonderful, but you don't get paid for doing that.
Oh, no, I know you don't get paid, but it
So
puts your
what-
name out there.
Yeah,
It
gets
does
you
get
out
your
there.
name out there, and that means, but what you want to do is have something to sell when you're on this panel that you could say without being salesy. You know, that's one of the things I teach in my courses, and let that go. And then, but just drop a few little seeds. It's called seeding. Drop a few little seeds throughout your your discussion, to let people know, well, my course for authors that are, or people that are considering writing a book, and I mentioned that. So just keep in mind that we're talking right now for this one, we're talking making money. How do you make money other than selling books? And one of the things about all of this is you can sell more books this way, because you do get a chance to promote your books if you have multiple, and I know you do, James. So that's another thing you could kind of mention is in your publishing company, these are the books that you represent, the fiction books you represent. Because everybody, even if they do like nonfiction as far as for sales, everybody loves reading. Well, people that love reading, and most people do. Most people attending any of these kind of events do. And that's a good chance to let them know about your books and about your author books too. So, CJ,
Yes, ma'am.
I know you do a lot of things already. So, and so what do you see? Where do you see that you could, and I know you weren't here Monday night, but her whole presentation was on sales.
Right. I wasn't, but I kind of got the gist of it from hearing you guys talk. There's several areas. I don't make money with the podcast, but my name gets out there. I don't make money with the blog. However, it ties back to the farm, which we sell honey from. When the trees get matured, we're going to sell fruit from. When the gardens get matured, we'll sell, herbs, dried herbs from there. And I plan on having a little store on the property called the Beehive, where we're going to sell all of that, along with candles and, different balms and stuff like that, all combined with it. So that will eventually make money in the end. We're just working towards it. But the blog does tie back to it. I don't make money from it, but it lets people take the journey with us and kind of sets up the store. So when the store is open, people are aware of the journey and what it looks like and how it's going. And eventually I may make a devotional out of the blogs.
I think that's a great idea. But I was thinking that videos would be good too, because videos about the beehives and all that, I think would be very interesting and very intriguing.
The other things that I do that does make money is I take the marketing branding stuff that I've learned, and I'm a consult. That's also a branch of Texas Sisters Press. When people sign contracts with us, they get 10 hours free video Zoom with us, and 6 of those is marketing branding and teaching them tips and tricks and stuff. So that kind of helps to make money on our end. Texas Sisters Press is a hybrid press, so we do make money on that as well on both ends of the publishing phase. I have done graphic work, and I make money from that, or like in y'all's case, I help you guys with graphics as well, which is an exchange. It's a barter system exchange, and so it works. It's still technically making money. You mentioned authorology. Lydia and I actually are set up to do one of those classes in July for short stories. And so we're not getting paid for that, but the exposure on that will help Texas Sisters Press as well as us. So it's kind of a balance between exposure and actually making cash and transforming that exposure into cash in the long run.
And that's absolutely always, that's my big thing, is be visible, be known. That's always going to be number one. But in the course of being visible, in the So, for example, Amy and I are doing a course on Monday nights, starting in May. We're actually going to be doing a webinar in the middle of May, and then inviting people to be part of the course, purchase the course. Everybody in here gets it for free, of course, but people can buy it, and it is going to be social media made simple, because social media is still is and will be for a while the number one way of promoting and marketing. And
And
now, I mean, if
it's
you
the thing most people are terrified of too when you talk to authors. So if you can make it simple, which is kind of like what I do with the Texas Sisters Press authors and what you guys are planning on doing in May, it helps everybody all the way around.
and we're going to be teaching them to do that themselves. So the end of that is, if they don't want to do it themselves, if it becomes too overwhelming, of course, that's one of the services that Amy offers. And she's got a bundle, a social media bundle. So we could, then there's another opportunity to sell something, to upsell to people that are not part of the membership, people that now, and that will be the number one thing, is getting people to join the membership, because this is where we feel like we can help people, we can help the most people in the membership, because here we can teach you what to do. We can show you by doing. We can be here to be support, to be a resource, to be whatever you need. This is where we want you to see. It would be like the number one thing. And the more members we have, the more people and more authors we can help. So everything from helping fiction authors to nonfiction, and with the nonfiction, helping them understand their what they can do to, have a book. And one of the things that I've been really talking to people about, and I was on a panel for SMU a couple weeks ago in Dallas, and one of the things that I've said on the panel was, every business should have a book. Every business owner should write their story and have a book, because Brian Bearden is our classic example of someone that wrote one little book, and all it is, and I don't mean to diminish what it is, because it's got great tips, but he took his best tips, 52 of them, and made a year-long, you do one tip per week, and it will help you with your website and all of that. So, and he says, when he's talking about the book, is he's probably not made over $1,000 in selling books, but he's made over $500,000 in selling his product and services through giving away the book. So he will just give the book to some business owner. Anyway, so those are the kind of things that I want you to be thinking of, is how can you implement those, and how can you talk about them when you're speaking. And I know, CJ, you and Lydia do speaking at different author groups and stuff like that. So in doing that, while you're speaking for free, you can talk about your publishing company. You can talk about your podcast and all the things that don't make you money, but give you more visibility, and all of that. So you got a great.
We do sell our books on the end of it.
Okay,
but
right.
Like what I try to go for is what's called the low hanging fruit, and I've always done that. I'm a jumper, because I know James mentioned he doesn't like to jump, he likes to research. It's kind of like a writer. Are you a planner or are you a pantser? I am a pantser. And so I tend to jump and learn the mistakes as I go. James seems to be more of a planner. And so he's a researcher. And so it's the difference between a jumper and a researcher versus a planner and a pantser. And I tend to jump in and I grab that low hanging fruit and climb up the tree as I go.
And either way works. And knowing which one you are is.
And that allows you to operate and figure out stuff as you go too, is how do you operate? How do you function? And James is aware that he's a researcher. He's aware that he's a planner. And so he can make a plan with the plan.
Yeah. And I tend to be more like James and doing the research. And I also could research something for the rest of my life and never do it. But because I love doing the research. And that's, if I could ever get a job just researching something, I'd be perfectly happy.
My husband is the exact same way.
Over there, because she's not, she may not be the pantser that you are, CJ, because I know you do really jump.
I think about it and then I'm like, well, I keep thinking I'm not going to do it. So then I'll do it. But I plot it and then I just pull the trigger on it. But I think the biggest takeaway, I think, from like what CJ does and what Tony, it sounds like Tony was talking about, is you have to get out there and you have to build relationships with people, right? Because nobody knows you, right? I like to think everybody knows me because you all know me and you guys are my world, right? But in reality, I'm like a very small fish in a huge pond, right? But you guys know me. And so we're branching out doing other things so more people get to know me. That doesn't make me any money. It just gives me visibility, right? But that's marketing, is you're marketing yourself by going out and building relationships with other people that can help your business, that can help you sell books, that can help you get on these panels, right? Or help you kind of kick off a course or a class that you want to teach, right? And so I think the whole key point of it is you have to get out there and build relationships with people. And that's networking, right? Which no one likes doing. No one likes networking. It's too people-y out there for me sometimes. So virtually is my jam, right? I'm in my comfort of my home. I can talk to you guys. I can be myself. And it's like, it's different in person, right? Like I know it now with everybody, starting to open back up and meet in person. I'm kind of one of those people. I'm like, well, I'm in my bubble. Like this is my jam. I'm more comfortable. I'm more social this way. And I don't have to leave the house, right? So it's kind of one of those things. But being virtual has opened up you guys speaking all over and building relationships everywhere with different businesses and authors and publishers that you normally wouldn't have access to, right? So I think you have to keep in mind that it may not make you any money, but you're building relationships that you never know. I mean, Sandy, you're a prime example. I mean, Sandy has people reach out to her that she hasn't talked to in years, but she met them at some networking event and they remembered her. So they gotta, send her people. So it's building a relationship. Yes, James, I got it.
I mean,
And Amy, I was going to tell you that Kathy, the person that may be one of our new clients, the reason she's contacted me is because we said happy birthday to her.
Yeah.
And so she contacted me and said, thank you for saying happy birthday. We say happy birthday to everybody. Thank you, Vola. Vola is in charge of that and she keeps up with it. So we say happy birthday to everybody on Facebook. I have 5,000 friends. So every one of them gets a special happy birthday message from me, including my family. So, and my family's like, that didn't sound like you. I'm like, it was me. I wrote it. So, because I write the script for what she's going to say, the happy birthday. But this person reached out to us and said, I've got a book coming out in June. I'd love to have you guys help us. So, anyway, so that's one of the ways that we reach out to people to say hi. And, then you're right. They just stay with us. So
when I go to book shows, it's not necessarily about selling books for me. It's about making connections. And a lot of connections have come from there. The worst thing someone told me in 2012 was that they didn't know who I was till I was speaking at an indie author day. And that terrified me. And so that time forward, I made it my goal to make it difficult to find me. And in doing that, I've ventured out into the different areas, but what that's done is it's opened a lot of doors. Some authors only go to a book show that will offer them, great place to sell books. That's not necessarily why you go there. You go there to make connections. I go there to make especially Comic-Con connections or, author connections or people who are writing books or people who know people who are writing books or even people who are interested in reading. And a lot of them do the ebooks. My ebooks jump after every book show. The connection you have with somebody or you make with somebody is a far more valuable than actually selling a book sometimes. And so you kind of got to keep that thought in mind. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good summary of what, I feel like Tony was trying to convey. I mean, I wish it may have been more towards writers, but I think sometimes you just have to get to the heart of the message and get creative on how it can apply to you. But I think, because she is the queen of networking. She is. And I think that's kind of the whole takeaway is, you may not make money at it, but you make connections, which eventually will make money from, right?
I mean, you can tell you can tell the authors who are just looking to sell books. They're not the ones going table to table and meeting the different authors. When Lydia and I go to a book show, we know what author does what type of book. And one of the questions I ask people when they come by the table is, do you like to read? Yes. My next question is, what do you like to read? Because I'm not going to sell you something that you're not going to want to read. I'm even going to try. If you like historical fiction, you're at the wrong table. I will send you to a historical fiction author. That's a connection made, that's helping them. And they're like, well, where did you hear from me? Well, that author over there sent me over to you. You know, that's the connections made.
Yep. Yep, that's how it should be. So that's just my 2 cents. I didn't get to watch Monday night. I will watch it this weekend, but that's my takeaway, my 2 cents. So.
And so one of the things I suggest for all of you is that you look for events. And I'll talk to you about that in just a minute, Greg, because you're next. But networking events, go look. So one of the best places to find networking events is Meetup. So if you go to meetup.com, how many of you have ever been on Meetup? I knew Julie had, because she found the nonfiction authors that way, I think, didn't you? So that's how Julie ended up where she is now with us. And that is, she started coming to the nonfiction authors. That's when we met in person. I met her and we talked a few times, and I spoke a couple of times, and she asked me about this group. And so here she is. And then we've had her book launch, and we've done other things with her. So go to Meetup, look for groups that are part of something that, Athena could find all kind of groups in Meetup about the furniture business, all of that. Vola could find 1,000 Meetup people from all the stuff that she does. So look behind her, you'll see some of her hobbies. But just find groups, and most of them will have a website. Sometimes they don't. You just go and say hi. They may have a virtual meeting or whatever, and that's just one idea. If you do a search for networking groups, you're going to find all kind of networking groups where you are. And if you do virtual networking groups, then that kind of shows you those. So I want to challenge all of you to do that, and then tell us some of the ones that you find. Let us hear about them. So Greg, we all know what you're an expert in as far as the cons and all that. So just tell us some things that you could sell to these people that you meet at these conferences.
Well, just to do it a little bit different. Unlike James, I pulled the trigger and jumped straight into podcasts.
Yes, you did.
And I'm getting people left and right. And I'm actually interviewing the conventions, the coordinators for the conventions.
Wow.
Matter of fact, not this Saturday, but this Saturday, I'm with Cyphicon doing their virtual panel, which Amy will be there to help because I'm going to have a busy Saturday. But next Saturday, the following Saturday, I have one with Dagacom, which is doing their first convention out in Dayton, Texas. And they're actually giving me a table on Saturday where I can sell stuff. But to top it all off, I actually got coffee cups with my new logo. So I'll be selling coffee cups and books. But I also do Patron, which hasn't gotten anybody yet, but considering I think the group started last week and I've gone from 0 to 41, 42 people in a week. Nice. So it's slowly growing.
And that was something I was going to say about the social media too. So Patron, yes, I think I joined Patron. Also, there's Alignable. Is that the new one? Alignable. I know I've been highly recommended, and sometimes I'm not even sure what I'm doing. And last night, this morning, I noticed. So I have my phone beside my bed to check the time. And I saw it was still dark, so I'm like, wonder what time it is. And I picked up my phone, and there was this new recommendation from one of my husband's cousins. And I'm like, what on earth? So you just never know. But there are new ones coming on all the time, new social media. So consider all of them networking groups on Facebook, networking groups. So network there. So go
Well-
ahead, Greg. I'm sorry. Tell us more about what you're doing.
Well, patron is more lines of the people, they can be like a sponsor if they want to. They pay monthly. I think I have 4 different tiers. One's like $5, one's $10, one's 20, and one's 25. And each one actually, patron, you can put a logo or something on a, like, I think they have coffee cups too, but t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts, hoodies, tote bags, decals, and you can offer those as part of the rewards that get sent out to the customer through patron. And they actually have another one, which I'm probably going to sign up for, called Buy Me a Coffee. So basically they just say, hey, you're doing a good job. Here's a little bit of money, go buy you a coffee. So, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff out there. Now, as for the conventions, that's where I sell the most.
And you're one of the few people that I know that sells a lot at these conferences and conventions. And that's one of the things I was going to tell you, Greg, is I would figure out how to make money on that from people, because most people don't know how to do that. They go to these conferences, and I remember David Bowles. I took him to the one in Galveston. And quite honestly, I don't know how to make money at them a lot of times. Well, you were there. Remember, that's when I first met you. But he told me, I don't want to go to any more conferences because I don't need any more friends. I need to sell books. So what he didn't get was that's how you sell books, is make friends at all these conferences, and then you sell them later. But you're the one that seems to have really got a grasp on that. And I would suggest that you teach a course on that. Do a video of that, talk about it, have it done kind of professionally. Again, you can use our Zoom and record it, and we'll give you the recording. You can upload it to your YouTube or your whatever, wherever you want to. Where do you have your podcast? Is that
actually, I'm all over the place. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Google. Of course, you can get it on the Facebook group, and I'm actually also on iHeartRadio.
Oh, good. So, are you using Anchor to distribute it?
I'm using the RSS feed.
Oh, okay. So you're just doing the direct feed then.
Yes.
Okay, well, but you may want to think about Anchor or one of those, because they'll get you in places that you might not be able to get yourself in.
That's my YouTube.
CJ uses Anchor, right? CJ,
I
you
used
still,
Anchor, but then I also went out and applied to iHeartRadio and Pandora and a couple other ones and got on that way.
oh, you did get on the
Another Greg,
I'm on iHeartRadio now too.
Great.
Yeah.
Greg
So if you
Buzzsprout.
what's that, CJ?
I said Buzzsprout is another free one that you can get on very easily. Podbean, if you go on for somebody, they start to charge you, so I took it off of there. But I'm on 11 different ones, so most of those come through Anchor, including Spotify and Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. But the RSS feed is the same feed that you would use to apply to iHeartRadio and Pandora, which are some pretty big ones.
They also put you on iTunes and I
That's
forget the
Apple
other one.
Podcast and the Google Podcast and Radio Public, Overcast, and there's one more.
So your RSS feed just puts you automatically on, or
Puts you automatically through most of them that are on my list, with the
okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
You
exception
actually
of Buzzsprout, Pandora, and iHeartRadio. You actually have to apply for those. And Apple. I think
Yeah,
Apple too.
Apple's a little
Same
tricky,
RSS
but
feed.
yeah. But you use the same RSS code to get into all these different things, because that's what they need. They need that resource code.
Yep. But you just go in and apply, and if Anchor gives you that RSS feed code, so that's what you can use.
Yeah, you can use that on your website too. You can use that anywhere. So
Yeah.
you can put it into your website too,
Mhm.
and it will show up on my website now. The podcast shows up as a separate little box there.
Yeah,
So they all show
the beauty of using Anchor means I only need to put it up on YouTube, Anchor.
Oh, that's great.
He might have gotten disconnected, but YouTube, Anchor, and Buzzsprout are the only three I have to physically go to every time I upload. because everything is pulled mostly from the Anchor RSS feed.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, CJ and Greg. So we'll talk to Greg more when he gets back. But Julie, let's go ahead and talk to you. So tell me what your thoughts are. What are you thinking?
Okay, I want to, sorry, use my few minutes to do a couple of other things. I put it on the chat line, but I hate it.
I saw that. I saw that.
My hardback, I got one copy yesterday.
That's
So,
beautiful, though. I
yeah.
love that.
So now I have to order more that I see it's all okay. It all came out okay. But anyway, that's a big positive for me. I've been trying
So
to.
now, where can we buy that?
Well, you
From your
can order
publishing
it through
company,
any
or is it on
local
Amazon, or?
people. Bookstores can order it through Ingram Spark, and you can also order it through my website. But I don't have copies to sell yet, so.
No, I know, but what about Amazon? Is it going to be on Amazon, the hardback?
Amazon picks up from Ingram Spark, so yes,
Okay.
it will be.
Okay.
Anyway, that's my big news on that. The second thing is I want to go back to Tony and just say, you know, as I put in the chat, I had my 30-minute conversation with her, and I really am at a different place than most of you, in that I would like to sell more. I would like to have more income, but I don't have to have more income, and I don't have to sell. And I'm been the last couple of months just reevaluating everything I'm doing, because I feel like I never have any free time. I'm always busy either with writing or family business or son or something. So I'm really evaluating, and I have not been pushing publishing. I have not. And, you know, I've had talked to some people, and there's always something stops it. In one case, someone wanted me to publish some poetry. I'm really not comfortable doing poetry. I don't know enough about it to feel that I could do a good job by the author. In another case, I was ready to sign a contract, but I told the author that she had to do a lot of marketing, and that she stopped it. She said, no, I want you to do all the marketing. I said, no, it doesn't work that way. So, and now I'm thinking maybe I don't even want to. I mean, if someone comes to me with the perfect project in areas I'm interested in and willing to do the work, okay, I can help them publish their book, but I'm not going to push that aspect because I don't need the extra work in my life right now. So I mentioned that with the Tony thing, you know, I have thought about trying to organize some kind of guided tours on which I would be a speaker or the expert that goes along, like to Indonesia, where most people feel uncomfortable going because it's such a different place. But again, I don't know. I'm gonna think about that some more. And for the next, I've already just booked a trip for August for going overseas if it happens. And I want to do more travel. So I think I'm just, you know, I'm not searching for a new product. I do have my little Christmas ornaments that I sell, you know, but they're a Christmas time thing. And I'm not really looking. I'm happy to go out and speak. Sandy, you're thinking about Rotary clubs. It's great. Actually, my father was big in Kiwanis. I would like to somehow hook up with the Kiwanis network.
Well, we can try. We can do that. I just happen to have a friend that has a Rotary, and he said, because we had Percy on there this past Tuesday, and so he's like, you know, and Percy talking about his voices of the fatherless, and they were like, we want him to speak at all the Rotaries, and so for the first time ever, we're going to have access to the 61 Rotaries in Houston. So you could speak once a week for a year at the Rotaries in Houston. So not that we're going to do that, but we're going to be recommending Percy, and then my friend that has this Rotary asked me for some recommendations for May, and so I told him about you and Teresa that has the PRP book. The PRP, Amy? Okay. So he said send me the information. So I'm sending that to him. We'll be sending that to him today. And so then
The thing about that is I spent hours and hours and hours developing my talk for the Rice University Friends of Fondren Library. And so I had an hour-long talk Perfect. So then this breakfast club invited me to speak, but they didn't want it to be an hour. They wanted it to be 30 minutes. And then they didn't want me to cover just the Camino. They wanted to talk about my career. So again, I had to go and revise the talk and do a lot of time to get what they wanted. And then I was asked by Rice to talk about my foreign service career. Well, boy, God, that took hours and hours. I had to find pictures from the past to include in the present. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is I have 2-hour-long presentations on different things. One is on my book, my trip in my book, The Camino, and the other is on my foreign service career. The foreign service career, there's no tie-in to a book. So that's just, you know, someone hears about it and asks me to do it, I'll do it. But I would like to do the Camino talk more. And
I think that would be a perfect, I think that would be a perfect one for the
Rotary. And then I, you know, shorten it down to just 30 minutes leaving time for, or 20 minutes leaving time for some questions, and making sure that I can have time to talk about how they can get my book, which is always, you know.
One of the things so you said you love to travel, and I know I have a friend in Pennsylvania who writes, she loves to travel too, and she writes for a travel blog and travel magazine. So I want to hook you up with her. I have no idea how to get into that, other than I know that she even goes to conferences each year that's for travel writers or people that are hiring travel writers. It's for the whole travel industry. And it's not setting up the trip. It's not being the person that does the, you know, makes all the arrangements or anything like that. It's strictly writing about the experience. So I want to hook you up with her and see where she, you know, what she does. I know she's retired from teaching school and does that full time now. So I want to hook you up with her and see, and then maybe you could do some travel and write about it and send it to wherever they send it to. So I'll help you get all that information together. If you're interested, you can pursue it. If not, you know, it'll be, you can put it in your back pocket for sometime in the future when you may want to do more than what you're doing now. But I do get that you've got a full plate right now. And I was where you were when I had my business the whole time, because I had a husband who worked for IBM and made good money. So technically what I made, the money I made, I could do whatever I wanted to with it. And what I did was usually hire people to do the work, and I just managed all of that. And but it was a good place to be. But it also, you know, there was no pressure, no importance, or no, you know, like it's got to be done now or anything on anything I did, because, you know, I had plenty of time. So anyway, so I totally get that. So I'll get together with my friend, her name is Robin Smith, and I'll connect you with her, and we'll see what happens with that, where that goes. And I just heard from her on this Alignable, because she recommended me, and I hadn't heard from her for a while, so I'll definitely reach out.
So the other thing, again, I put it in the chat, but when I was talking to Tony, really, because I told her I'm interested in getting to know you. I'm not really, I didn't say it this directly, but I'm not interested in a $6,000 coach.
Right.
I didn't tell her that, but I mean, I know she got the message. So then she started like interviewing me, which is interesting to flip it around. And, you know, she was asking me all about the writing groups and critique groups I belong to. And I said, well, critique groups are not for you, but the writing groups might be. And so I mentioned, you know, Houston Writers Guild. And she was like unaware of Houston Writers Guild. And I said, well, Sandy is really big in that. So you should talk to Sandy about that. And then the Monday night, she said she's recognized Red as one of the, and I said, well, and Red does the Nonfiction Authors Association. But what I'm trying to say is she really didn't seem plugged into writers networks in Houston. And so that's what led me to say, you know, I think your presentation, if you do speak to, because she wants to be a speaker for HWG or for nonfiction authors, so your presentation needs to be more tailored towards books. Because I didn't come away from Monday night with any ideas about how to improve my book sales. That's me, maybe other people did.
No, she didn't talk about book sales. No, you're absolutely right. She did not talk about book sales. She didn't talk about anything specific to authors. And I didn't ask her to, I just asked her to give her normal presentation. So,
Right, but I actually asked her a question. I said, I understand how this applies to lots of things, but I don't understand books. And she didn't have an answer to that. So I don't think she'd even really, well, she did say, she was honest. She said, you're never going to make a lot of money just selling books. She did say that.
yep, and we all know that. So, we know it requires something additional.
Well, I can tell you one thing I picked up this morning is I forget who asked to join Alignable, and I joined, but I've done nothing. I don't, so now I guess I need to spend some time on Alignable.
And I spent very little time there. All I did was make sure I had a profile so people could see, because that's always the most important thing, is to have your profile.
Well,
So I did that.
Let me tell you what Alignable is. So Alignable is a referral-based platform for businesses, entrepreneurs, and like small businesses. So it's where people can go if they're looking for a social media marketing person or a publicist, then they can go and type that in and they'll all pop up. And then if you're highly recommended, they're going to kind of gear more towards you. So that's what Alignable is. The platform right now, whoever has an iPhone, I recommend being on Clubhouse. So I can't get on it. It's not an Android friendly platform, but that one is super popular and it's up and coming. And the thing with that one is they're all live events that you attend. They're not recorded. So it's pushing for engagement and people to actually come and listen. So it's stuff that you want to listen to. And there are all kinds of things on there. There's things about podcasting, about publishing, about just writing, just listening to other authors speak. So there is a ton of things on that. So I would gear, Julie, more for you. I would do more Clubhouse and see if you can speak on other people in their clubhouses if you have an iPhone, because it's a phone-based thing. But that's where I would kind of send you, not so much Alignable. That's going to be more for business referrals and recommendations and things like that. So if you're more wanting to speak about the Camino and traveling and stuff, then I would go there instead of Alignable.
And I know it's been brought up before, but I'm still not real clear on what Patron is either. James.
Yeah, it's a money thing where you can get sponsors and stuff. I don't know that much about it. I joined only because it is a way of paying. I honestly don't remember. I know I pay $5 a month beyond there.
So Patron is a place where you can go. So say that I put Author Talk on Patron, and if you wanted me to mention you during my podcast or whatever, you could pay $5 a month and I would mention you as a sponsor. Or if I wanted to come up with a magazine, right, and you wanted to have an exclusive every month, then you can pay this level membership and I'll give you one page in my magazine every month, right? So it's a place where you can kind of pay to get exclusivity on people's businesses or different avenues that they offer. That's kind of what Patron is. So you're supporting that person or that business or whatever on Patron at a lower amount than what everything else, their services or whatever would cost. So it's exclusive. If you like to have limited edition, exclusive content or whatever, and the rights to that, that's kind of what Patron is.
Okay, so like if I wanted to support CJ's blog, which by the way, I read this morning and it was quite good. And same thing for Kathy Hawaisen.
Thank you.
I could go on Patron and say, I want to support these two blogs and I'm willing to pay them $5 a month to mention my books or my blog or whatever during on their blog. Is that right?
If they're on Patreon and that's one of the tiers that they have in sponsorship of their blog, then yeah, that's what you could do. And you can find all kinds of stuff like that on Patreon if you're willing to kind of look for it and support individuals.
Well, I'm sorry, we're going over time, I know, but I'll just say again, because I looked at both Kathy's this morning and CJ's, and I think mine is pretty good. I wish there was we've been doing these mutual book support things, but I wish there was some way we could do a mutual newsletter or blog support effort. And I'm not sure what that would be, but.
Well, to start with, you could post it in the group, in the Facebook group, so we could all see it there. and go and read it. But we could all, if you know, if anybody can sign up to get your blog on a regular basis. I get CJ's. I don't think I get yours. So do you
My
have a way to?
newsletter, I want to.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
her newsletter. I think, Julie, what more you're talking about is being a guest blog. So, you know, like CJ could be a guest, could do a guest blog on yours for your newsletter, and you could do the same for CJ, and then for Fern, and kind of doing it, backing it up that way, and for Rock Hill, and you just all kind of be guest blog on each other's sites is kind of more what it sounds like. So you're getting exposure to their audience, and in return, they're getting exposure to yours, and you're sharing other writers' material.
Yeah, well, it's not I mean, I'm not really talking about, Kathy's is a blog, but mine and CJ's that I looked at they're newsletters. At least I consider them newsletters. Do you think of it as a blog, CJ?
I have a blog and I have a newsletter. I have both. So my blog is specifically to my farm, the Serenity Acres. And the newsletter itself goes out literally every other week at 10 o'clock on Friday, just like clockwork. That's it.
So it's your newsletter that I saw this morning. And
Well, you might have seen both. If you subscribe to the blog, that kicks out like a couple days after a blog is posted. But I think if it's longer, then you saw the newsletter.
I saw the apiary is moving. Which one is that on? And why is the apiary moving, by the way?
It's moving because it's not in a good spot within the yard itself. We're moving it.
Also,
within
just
your
moving to a
position.
different part, but still on your property.
If you read the blog, it'll explain it.
So
But
I was in the newsletter. That, I mean, that answers that. Anyway,
well, yes, it does and it doesn't, because both of them were mentioned. So if it was just the moving day, then you were just subscribed to the blog itself. If it was the moving day plus the podcast plus other things on it, then that's the newsletter.
it's whatever came to me at like 10 o'clock this morning. That's what
And
I
that was
thought.
probably the newsletter.
Anyway, something we're going to all think about a little bit more is how to do some cross promotion of our whatever we want to promote. In my case, it would be my newsletter rather than my blog. And figure that out. So that's,
I think all of that sounds, I think cross promotion, helping each other out with their newsletters. I just signed up for yours, Julie. So I am just in the process of getting the book from Book Funnel, the free book. So that's nice. I didn't know you had that book. That's good. So anyway, so yes, all of you should be posting in the group, the Facebook group, get my newsletter and give us the place to go to sign up for your newsletter. So thank you all for today. It was great to be back with you. So we'll see you every Monday night in May. And we'll be talking to you between now and then. So have a great weekend.
Bye, you guys.
Amy, I didn't mean to just close everything. Amy, do you have anything else?
No, you're good. You are good.